If you're thinking of buying your first home in 2025, this video is for you. You've probably seen the headlines saying the market's impossible, homes are unaffordable, or that you need a massive down payment. The truth is, it's still completely doable if you know how to play it smart. I'm going to walk you through what it really takes to buy your first home right here in Alberta, the costs, the programs that are available, the timing, and how to avoid the rookie mistakes that keep people renting for years longer than they need to, and so that you can start building equity in your home. All right, so starting off with a little bit of context. Across the Edmonton region, including Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, entry-level homes are holding steady in that $350,000 to $425,000 range. Prices have leveled off after the rapid jumps that we've seen over the last few years, and interest rates are stabilizing, meaning predictability has returned. But that predictability is gold for first-time homebuyers because you can actually plan, budget, and qualify with confidence. Okay, so this one surprises a lot of people. You don't need 20% down. For your first home, the minimum is 5% on the first $500,000. So for a $400,000 home, that's $20,000 down. If you had about 1.5% for closing costs, as legal inspection, land transfer, and you're looking at roughly $26,000 to $28,000 total to get into a home. And that's before factoring programs like the first home buyer incentive or the RSP home buyer's plan that can reduce out-of-pocket costs even more. So now in Spruce Grove and Stony Plain, where I'm at, you can still find great starter homes. You can find duplexes, townhouses. You could find smaller detached homes that are a little bit older, still within that 350s to low 400s. And these are areas especially popular with first-time home buyers because we got lower property taxes here in Spruce and Stony than in comparison to Edmonton. We have a strong resale market. The value is driven by the population growth, which we are growing at an exponential rate. It's safe. We have family-friendly neighborhoods, and it's still a very short commute to the city. Where I'm at, it takes me 10 minutes to hit the Anthony Henday. Doesn't matter what time of day. So now, if you're buying in Edmonton properly, you'll likely trade a newer build for location and convenience, but the total cost of ownership between taxes, insurance, other things like that is often going to be quite a bit higher than coming to these areas where you still have a short commute, but you're not going to be paying those extremely high prices that you might find in Edmonton. Now, that being said, Edmonton is still not a bad buy for first-time home buyers because obviously appreciation, location, all these things, it still means it's a great area to be in. But I heavily push Stony as first because I live here, I love it here, and I think it's great for anybody that wants to still be close to the city. It's a fantastic opportunity to get a really decent price on a property that is great for first-time home buyers at a discounted price where we still are seeing appreciation occur because of the exponential rate, once again, that we're growing. So before you even start touring homes, you need to get pre-approved. This is a no questions asked. You need to know what you're actually able to get because you do not want to go to a property and find out that you can't afford. Okay? Just don't waste your time. Don't waste the seller's time. Just get your pre-approval and find out what your rate hold is because they're going to offer you your interest rate. You need to know how long that interest rate is good for. You also need to make sure that you have closing cost buffers. So you got to have money for inspections. You got to have money for lawyer fees, things like that. Another thing to consider is CMHC mortgage insurance. You need to get this if you go into a property with less than 20% down. It is not in any benefit to you. It is strictly you purchasing insurance for the benefit of the lender in the event that you default, you disappear, whatever it is. That insurance is not for you, it's for that. So don't think that you can just walk away because of it. So having these in mind, getting that pre-approval allows you to be very prepared when you're ready to put an offer in because we don't need that pre-approval now. Now, if you've already gone through the process, the lender might only need to qualify the property. And if they're only qualifying the property, that could only mean just having your inspection done. Everything looks good. It's comparable to the other properties in the area in terms of value. So we can get approvals done much quicker, which means we can have shorter condition periods, which to a seller can mean the difference between either accepting your offer or saying, sorry, you're going to walk. Okay, so moving on to mistakes I see all the time, first-time homebuyers. Once again, shopping before you know your numbers. You fall in love with a home that doesn't fit your budget. It's depressing. Don't get depressed, okay? Just know what you can actually afford, but don't go house broke either. I don't want anybody to ever go house broke. It's a terrible idea. And don't ignore the monthly costs of home ownership. We have property taxes, we have insurance, we have maintenance, we have utilities. All these things that you might not have to pay as a renter are now all considerations that you need to account for when you're calculating what you can actually afford and how to avoid going house broke. And then there's mistake number 3. And this one hits real close to home for me because I look at most properties from the perspective of an investment, because regardless if you want to invest in real estate, it doesn't matter. I guarantee you at the end of your days, when you want to go to retire, or your kids want to go to university or college, if you have kids, if you don't, whatever. But you want to consider all these things. Your house is going to be a store of wealth for you. And if you bought wrong at that time, whether you're retiring in 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is, and you start looking at all your assets, you look at your RSPs, one of the biggest factors that's going to be considered when you go to retire is your home's value. That is so important. And a lot of people overlook this because they get extremely emotional and they don't really consider it. They look at what's the cheapest property in the area? What's the cheapest neighborhood? There's a reason why there's the cheapest property or why they are in the cheapest neighborhoods. There are plenty of neighborhoods that have not seen any growth or have even retracted in value in the market that we've been seeing. You don't want to be that guy because you go to sell your property in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, and you bought in the wrong place or the wrong property because it was the best value or it was in the cheapest neighborhood. And then you realize you're stuck in that affordable area because it's the only thing that hasn't appreciated, and you're going to regret that. And I don't care how you look at it. There's a lot of emotions that run really high in real estate, and everybody wants to overvalue their homes, or everybody wants the best of the best deal. But you need to look at it from an analytical perspective. Everybody wishes they could have bought Bitcoin 20 years ago or 15 years ago, whenever it first came out. And many people thought, that's a bad idea, whatever it is. And those same people now that bought it are laughing. You want to be the person laughing. You don't want to be the person that says, I wish I would have bought 5 blocks over for an extra $200 a month in 10 years from now, because that could have meant the difference between $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in your bank account. But that being said, if you get all these 3 right, you're already ahead of most first-time home buyers, and it's going to give you that advantage when you're finding that perfect first property. So why is the fall and the winter the perfect time? Well, sellers are typically priced to move before winter. Builders love to offer incentives before the winter. Interest rates are expected to trend down gradually through 2026, meaning that people buying now will likely be able to refinance lower within 12 to 18 months and capture any appreciation that follows rate cuts. Or if you're going through what I always do, I always go variable, but it all depends on your risk tolerance and it all depends on your stability level. You could ride the wave downwards if that trend continues. So waiting might feel safe, but you'll likely pay more for the same house later, and you don't want to do that. Now, if you wait until the spring, everybody wants to buy in the spring. It's just what happens. A lot of people, it's because they have to, or they want to try to time it for end of school. They want to get into a property for the summer. They don't want to move when there's snow on the ground. That's great, but that also means that you as a first-time home buyer are going to be competing with buyers that have sold their home, that have a lot of money down. They've already went through the process. They know what they want. They know where they want to go. And you're going to get into multiple offers. You're going to possibly spend way more than you wanted to. And then 6 months later, when we go back into the fall market and things start to level out again, you're going to have realized that you might have overpaid, and inevitably you're going to have buyer's remorse. And we don't want anybody to feel like you have overpaid for your home. That's my goal, and that should be your goal too. So don't do that. So if you're ready to explore buying your first home, but you don't know where to start, I built a first-time homebuyer checklist that breaks it all down, from property approvals to closing day, including questions to ask your lender, what to expect at each stage, and how to avoid common pitfalls. So you can click the link in the description to download it for free, or message me directly and I'll send it to you personally. Ask me any questions you might have. If you're still confused, if you still don't know what to do, I love helping people. That's just what I love doing. I love educating. I know realtors, we might seem like we're just salespeople, but in reality, we love to teach, or at least I do anyways. So that's it for me. My name is Sam, helping you buy smart, not stressed. Thanks for watching. I really hope this helped, and I'll see you next time.